Hi there, Alex Bennett from Kendo World. Somebody unversed in the maniacal ways of Kendo is likely to be very confused by all the whacking and hacking that's going on. It's like, he smashed him, why isn't that a point? Or, why is that a point but not the one before? Well, actually, come to think of it, I guess people who have been doing Kendo for many years also pretty much have the same conversation. It's like that ippon is sometimes so difficult to really put your finger on. What is it that makes it a count or not count? So here is a visual depiction of ippon, in my mind at least. This is a work in progress. But what about the inside? The inside, the middle, this is really important. This is Article 12 from the Kendo rulebook. Now, all ippon lead to Article 12. So, although, you know, it's not ideal and frustrating though it is, the reality in Kendo is that referees will call a point based on their own values and skill level. And being human, they're going to make wrong calls, as well as the right calls as well. But it's just the way it is, right? And it's the logic behind having 3 shinpan on court to adjudicate matches. In any case, the shinpan problem is vast and warrants more than one vlog post to look at. And I'll do that some other time. But today, I want to have a look at what you can do in your own Kendo to increase the odds of getting that cracking ippon recognized by the shinpan. Now, at the risk of insulting you all, the first consideration is, do you really know what a valid strike is? Now, a surprising number of Kendo practitioners sort of know, but when it comes down to, you know, the nitty-gritty, they're still pretty much in the dark. A valid strike or thrust is defined as an accurate strike or thrust made onto designated targets, datotsu of the opponent's kendogu. The strike or thrust must be executed in high spirits with correct posture, using the striking section, datotsu of the shinai on the correct angle, hasuji, and followed by Zanshin. I know, it doesn't really help much, does it? So let's deconstruct it all and try to make sense of this, imperative description of what the hell it is that we're actually supposed to be doing. Now, in the words of Hall of Fame baseballer Rod Carew, hitting is an art, but not an exact science. And I guess the same can be said of Kendo. So for the sake of our art, let's try and make sense of the nebulous criteria for an incontrovertible ippon. But what does it mean exactly? Now, simply put, and for practical purposes, I'd explain it as the way that you project your voice as you smack the target. It's your Kiai, or more accurately, hasse, the vocalization of your Kiai, equipoised energy. Now, shouting as you strike makes the technique more powerful and consequently decisive. Now, have you ever wondered why, for example, professional tennis players release those orgasmic grunts when they smash the crap out of those little furry green balls? Well, it's because it helps them apply maximal force of racket onto the ball. It's basically an added release of energy. So grunting brings more grunt. Now, there's even scientific proof that this is true, that grunting augments force. For example, some elite college tennis players were able to hit the tennis ball with a 3.8% increase in velocity when accompanied by a grunt. So I think it was something like a 4.9% velocity enhancement was measured in serves, meaning an average of something like 7 kilometre per hour increase in service speed, which is quite significant, right? That's just through the grunt. So not only does power increase through grunting, but grunting loudly also helps break the opponent's concentration. Now, I remember in, I think it was 1988, the US Open, for example, scandal. Ivan Lendl complained to the umpire that Andre Agassi's raucous grunting was throwing him off his timing. Oh dear. So grunting, therefore, is performance enhancing for the grunter, and I guess you could say performance hindering for the opponent. With regards to grunting, or the Kiai in Kendo, I think the problem is that people think they're letting rip with a decent Kiai when they strike, but they really aren't. Now, you've probably all been told by your sensei on numerous occasions that Kiai should come from the hara, hara being the gut. But what the hell does this mean? Kiai should not be a languid squawk that comes from your throat. It's got to come from down here, right? Down here meaning your diaphragm, that powerful skeletal muscle that sits at the base of your chest. It enables you to pump air into the lungs, which obviously enables you to breathe. And by extension of this, you can bawl like a buffalo on heat. Opera also has a few things in common with Kendo, and it's a good point of comparison. The Italian word appoggio, excuse my pronunciation, is used in the world of opera, and it means something along the lines of lean against. Now, apparently, any decent singer, of which I am not, knows how to lean against his or her diaphragm muscle, which serves to fill the lungs with air. If you try standing up and just put your hands on your gut and cough, like that, you can feel something on the inside of your body hitting your hands, right? Well, this is your diaphragm. So it's a mighty muscle at work there, and it's right in the core of your body. So when you're singing in the shower, it's the diaphragm that serves as your kind of, I guess you could call it your built-in boombox, not those delicate vocal cords in your throat. So think of the diaphragm as your hara. Now, Kiai arises from there and resonates through your whole body, like bellows pumping air through a pipe organ in a church. Now, some of it spurts out of your kensen, some of it out of your mouth, and some of it out of the pores in your body. Your whole body, basically, is an instrument that your Kiai comes from, or it emanates from. So when you make the strike, it doesn't really matter if, to use opera again, if you're a soprano, a mezzo-soprano, a contralto, a countertenor, tenor, baritone, bass, or treble. It helps to raise the pitch immediately after the strike. So it goes something like man, kote, do, right the way through to the point where you turn around and face your opponent again. Not man, kote, do, which you'll hear a lot, is interpreted as lacking ki, the ki bit in ki, ken, tai, ichi. Now for the ken bit. Now the regulations state they're using the section, the datotsu of the shinai, on the correct angle. But what does this mean? Well, it means that you should be striking the target with around about 1/4 to 1/3 from the top of the shinai, depending on the target. It has to come into contact with the target that you're aiming for. So just the tip means it's too shallow, unless, of course, it's tsuki. And halfway down from the tip means that it's too deep. Now, the striking part of the shinai is sometimes referred to as mono-uchi. But one translation I've seen for mono-uchi is percussion point. Now, there's a great article by a good friend of mine, Dr. Sergio Boffa, in Kendo World 7.4. It's called Thoughts on Mono-uchi and Datotsu. So if you're interested, check it out. It's definitely worth reading. It gives you a very good breakdown of what exactly datotsu or mono-uchi is and the differences, actually. But I prefer to call it, anyway, this mono-uchi, I prefer to call it sweet spot rather than percussion point. The sweet spot of the shinai, like a sweet spot on a baseball bat or a golf club. Now, I don't play golf or baseball, but the similarities are striking, pun intended. Now, the sweet spot is the point at which the object being struck, usually a ball, absorbs the maximum amount of the available forward momentum and rebounds away from the racket, bat, club, etc., with a greater velocity than if struck at any other point on the racket, bat, or club. Thank you, Wikipedia Sensei, for the explanation. Obviously, in the case of kendo, your opponent's man is not going to rebound away unless you're using a 3 kilogram shinai. But you can tell if the mono-uchi / sweet spot of the shinai has connected by the clean pinging noise it makes, as opposed to a clunky crunching sound. Now, that clean ping is described as sai in kendo. The shinai might be blunt, but the sound it makes should be sharp. Now, when you see lots of hits landing, but the shinpan refuse to put their flags up, this is usually the reason why. Among other things, there is no sai. More precisely, there is no sai because the other things are missing. For example, when you slice the ball in golf, or you hit a foul ball in baseball, this is quite simply because the ball and the sweet spot are not connecting at the right point or on the correct angle. In which case, although contact is being made, often with considerable force, the ball flies in, well, every direction except the one that you want it to. So think of those strikes in kendo that are connecting but aren't being considered valid. The kendo version of a foul ball, the same principle as foul balls. Close, but no cigar. Now for the tai bit. Tai means body. And to keep it simple, it's all about correct posture at the point of impact. And this is dependent on footwork. Now, ideally, your head should remain in the middle of your feet. Think of it as a triangle with your noggin at the apex. Now, triangles are very stable, so being triangular with a wide base at the instant of the strike is the strongest possible position for your body to be in, and allows you to follow through without losing your balance. So they must work as one solid stabilizing entity, sort of like a meat corset. And as the hips and the shoulders separate when you're lifting the shinai overhead to strike, it's the hara that steadies the body and prevents it from opening up mid-strike and spraying that precious energy into the ether. Think of the difference between a burst of water from a fire hose or from a sprinkler. Now, which is more uncomfortable for the opponent? Obviously, it's going to be the fire hose. It's concentrated. It's straight at, rather than sort of spraying all over the place. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to achieve a neutral, what's called a neutral spine position as you strike, in other words, a straight back with the rib cage and the pelvis in a stacked position, this will allow you to take full advantage of the striking momentum and the transmission of power from the lower to the upper body. Well, I bet I confused you even more, that explanation. But basically, as you lunge into the attack from the legs, keep your spine straight, your eyes looking at your opponents, and just let your body flow into the strike. Okay, keeping your posture upright. Now, if all of these three things, the ki, the ken, and the tai, in other words, the vocalized energy that resonates through your whole body and out your mouth, and the sweet spot sword strike, and the balanced body movement, like a triangle held together with that meat corset, if all this works together as a unit, then this will absolutely be judged as a valid point. Or will it? There's one more really important thing that you cannot forget, and that is Zanshin, which is continued physical and psychological vigilance and readiness. I found an instruction booklet for how to hit the ball properly in the sport of softball, which is quite useful actually. After contact, it says, the hitter must concentrate on hitting through the ball. The bat continues to move in the direction the ball is hit. And from there, a full weight transfer occurs with most of the hitter's weight over the firm front leg. Well, this is a little bit different to kendo. We want to keep it in the middle. But in any case, this weight transfer helps ensure a long, full follow-through and a quicker time to first base. Now, it isn't called Zanshin, the follow-through. It isn't called Zanshin in softball, but it might as well be. It's really useful to compare this with the All Japan Kendo Federation's official definition for Zanshin, which goes something along the lines of the body posture and the state of mind in which even after striking, one is alert and ready to respond instantly to any counterattack by the opponent. Zanshin is also the state in which after striking with full power and without hesitation, one faces the opponent with full spirit and with the ability to respond naturally. So that means that if you strike with ki, ken, tai, all in coalescence, you just naturally follow through and end up back where you started, not on first base, but in kamae, facing your opponent in a seamless completion of the process of the strikers. Sort of think of it as a continuous circle. And behold, the flags are up. You win. Or they're not. Well, even if they're not, you've already come full circle and you're back at square one. So let's try it all over again. Hope that's useful. If you enjoyed this vlog, please let me know, leave some comments, and also if there's anything that you would like me to talk about, please drop us a line and I'll see what I can do to help. Anyway, happy training everyone. Cheers.